Hello and welcome everybody to MAN471. My name is Roland and these are the slides I use to teach fundamentals of project management at International Business School Suzhou in China between 2017 and 2019 when I resigned and came back to the UK. Now in the sixth session I was introducing and talking about the project team, which is of course equally as important as the right project manager. And the PMI Association defines the project team as a set of individuals that supports the project manager in performing the work of the project in order to achieve its objectives. Now that means it is actually the project team that does all the work, while the project manager is leading the project in the sense of enabling the team to be able to complete what they are supposed to do. Who do we want on the team? And a common misconception is that for every single task you grab the best person there is in the organization or the best person that you can potentially get on the open market. But while expertise is good, it is the success that should come first. And maybe all the best people in the world brought together into the same room do not perform well together. When we look at how to bring a team together, how to create a team, we need to look at the key project issues first. What are the bottlenecks? And one major mistake a lot of people make when organizing project teams is not looking at these bottlenecks and in fact accepting that there is more than just one bottleneck. And there is the saying that if you find more than one bottleneck in your project, you haven't found the real bottleneck yet. So it is usually a few very crucial items and milestones in the project that are absolutely vital for the success. And if you recruit team members, you need to bear these potential issues in mind and recruit not only for these exact bottlenecks that you perceive, but also bear in mind that you need to create a team from these individuals. And the problems that come from that, well, which person do I choose? How well do they work with others? And moreover, it is not necessarily your authority as a project manager to select project team members. Now, what is the agenda of the project? What is the ego of the individuals? How well can you form all these individual egos into a team identity? And is everybody, including the project itself, aligned with the strategy of the organization? We are talking about the synergy here. And when you create a positive team synergy, you will find that 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 10, but it can easily be turned around into a negative synergy where no matter how much expertise and how much skill you add, the synergy from all these very capable individuals is negative. So we are talking about in this kind of environment, and particularly when you as a project manager do not succeed in the team building, when you do not manage the relationships with the team and in the team to the degree that is necessary, you will create negative synergy and it will feel like you are paddling up a creek against the stream with loads and loads of efforts put in, but not really getting anywhere. The most essential skills for a leader in this kind of situation is exceptional communication skills with very high emotional intelligence. You need to be able to put yourself into the perspective of everybody else and create the situation where all these individuals perhaps follow your lead want to follow your lead in order to be successful both as a team as well as an individual. And I like to bring back the example from Shackleton's Antarctic expedition, where in a very dire situation of life and death, Shackleton's leadership in those extreme circumstances led to other team members emulating his empathic way of dealing with situations and putting the team and the success of the mission first before them, even for a person that in the example from the book was unreasonably jeopardizing the success of the mission and threatened his own survival. Leadership in especially extreme situations will be contagious in the sort of that team members start copying, emulating how you as a project manager behave in the project towards them. But how do we achieve that? How do we build a team? And my mantra has always been: bring these people together, appeal to a common sense, and create an early success. From every single book and every single team building exercise, we can extrapolate roughly 8 traits, 8 situations that you can use in order to create a team out of individuals. And the first, obviously, is to create a common purpose where all members are willing towards a common goal. Now, the common goal is obviously the project outcome, a successful outcome of the project. And you need to create a situation where all the team members realize, well, it is in my best interest to create input in order that we all can move forward with the project and complete it successfully. The second item on this agenda is identify and utilize talent and leadership. A lot of project managers are managing projects by, I'm the project manager and that's my job done. I have the prestige. But you, team, are the ones now completing the project, and if you don't, I will just shout at you until you do. That is the absolute pinnacle of not useful behavior. You need to understand the people on the team, and when you are in the position that you have recruited them, you know what their talents are. And when you recognize their talent, you need to be able to say, well, this person has an absolute talent for this. And you as a project manager need to balance the different leadership styles, not only of yourself, but also pass leadership to the people that are the most effective leader in a given situation. Now that goes in top number 3 here, balance roles to create team cohesion. As I said, it is not necessarily the best person for any individual task that makes a great team in the sum. You need to balance the roles and egos to create a team that works well together. It's the same with the football team. If you put the 11 best footballers in the world on a team and let them play against a team that is maybe not as talented as those 11, but has been playing together for quite a while, you will identify that, or you will see that the absolute best players not necessarily have a cohesion on the field. Number 4 is so important when conflicts are coming up, and they are going to come up in every single project. What a lot of people, both project managers as well as individuals on the team, fail to do is they do not prioritize problems over persons. So they are taking feedback very easily. They are taking feedback as a personal attack. A lot of people are, instead of attacking the argument of the other person, attacking the person. So we have from two sides the tendency to personalize conflict instead of reducing conflict, removing emotion and personal agendas from a conflict and boil it down to the actual factual problem of the matter. And if you are unable to do that, it will increase the likeliness of failure, not only in relationships, but in the complete project, in the outcome. So that goes with number 5. Different opinions are used to achieve the best outcome. Not necessarily everybody will agree on something. So when you have a very diverse team, they will approach problems in a different fashion. They will see the problem in a different light. And a team member that is approaching the problem in a completely different fashion from you may get an insight at the problem and may come up with a solution that you possibly can't think of. And if you are unwilling to, going back to number 2, pass on the leadership and use talent to the advantage of the project outcome, you are not utilizing the strengths of the team and the different opinions that come with it. Number 6 is vital, learning from failure. And at the same time, encouraging people to seize opportunities. There are many situations where you do not have the time to speak to the team leader, speak to the project manager, speak to the organizational leadership. You need to be able to make decisions on your own. And not only do you as a person need to be able to, you need to have the authority. And a good project manager will establish that if you see a solution that is faster, easier, cheaper, don't ask me, just do it and then file a report when you have time. Number 7 goes without saying, setting and exceeding high standards. If you are not willing to go the extra mile, if you are not willing to exceed your best in order for yourself to grow, you will maybe tick the boxes. If you fall into this kind of approach that a lot of people seem to be doing nowadays, oh, I have to tick that box. I don't really want to do it, but here we go. I'm doing a class in project management. I tick that box. Now I'm a project manager. It is without any value what you're doing there. And it does not look good on your CV when you have project management on the CV, but you are total crap in it. Finally, team identification. If you do not, as an individual, enable everybody on the team to be their best, you will realize that the team is not the source of your success. It will be the source of the failure. And a team that does not identify with, or individuals that do not identify with the team, and a team that does not identify with the project and its outcomes, is a team that is not going to be very effective. So in summary, we need to look at what can we do to enable everybody not only to be their best, but to be inspired and be led by the team, its identity, its leadership, in order to themselves become better and by proxy then exceed the expectations of the project. So one of the things a very experienced project manager taught me is manage the mood. The happiness of people is the key. If they don't want to be in the project, if they don't want to be with you, well, the outcomes are not going to be positive. One thing I am always in two minds about it: engagement sessions, sharing experience and success. Yeah, it's a great thing, but you don't need to do this in a formal way, especially those formal happiness sections where you get everybody together to be happy and positive are very often creating the feeling of I have to be there. That is not very productive. Those engagement sessions are much more effective when they are informally, when people on the project are familiar with each other, when they are working together, when they share their successes on a daily basis. That will create a positive spirit. Even if you yourself are experiencing a hard time, you realize, oh, another member of the project had a major breakthrough. That is great. Now I am in a bad fix, but because this other person is advancing faster than supposed to, I need to fix this and that problem so I can progress as well, and we can finish the project together. If there is a sense of working together, this will result in a very positive spiral of positive spirit and positive work environment, and thus create major advantages for the project outcomes. You can make success. That is not the question. And teams are known to go through forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning phases. So when you finally in the norming stage, when you can go and perform, the project team creates its own identity as a separate entity from the rest of the organization, which is another indication of projects being temporary organizations within the organization. And that can lead to a number of issues when those team members are moving on, when the team is adjourning. But we are going to talk about that in the session on closure. Now, how do we characterize high performance teams? Membership needs to be voluntary. People need to want to be there. And you need to have team members assigned full-time all the time. Team size needs to be small. The larger the team is, the more bogged down will communication become, the more difficult will communication become. If you do not have a sense of trust and a spirit of cooperation within your organization, it will be very difficult to create that from scratch within the project team. After all, most of, if not all, of the team members are coming from that corporate culture. And looking at that, if you have distrust and individualism in an organizational culture, you will find it very difficult to create a team that is working well together. Now, if you have reporting lines outside of the project, that will be detrimental. But team members that only report to the project manager are more likely to identify with the team rather than identifying the team as an additional workload. If, especially in strategic projects, all functional areas are represented, you have people and communication that is relevant to those functional areas present at all times. And if these people are enabled to make decisions with a kind of thinking of their relevant functional area in mind, you have all the opinions and can create a project that is accepted, at least, if not cherished and lauded by all relevant functional areas. Now, obviously, you need to bring team members together so they can cooperate directly. And many teams that are formed inside an organization are co-located in a separate workspace where they can bounce ideas off one another, where they can perform their duties for the project in co-location and in cooperation with everybody else on the project. One key thing, and often neglected, is that the project objectives need to be compelling for the individual team member. If you are working on a project that you don't believe in, that you do not consider relevant for your own career, your own outcomes, and the organization, then how much are you willing to go the extra mile? How much are you willing to give your best into something that you don't believe in? Food for thought here. When we are recruiting those team members, other things that we need to look at is how important is the project. If it's a major strategic project, then selection of these people becomes even more subject to scrutiny. It also depends on the organizational structure, how we are organizing and recruiting the team. And last but not least, even the most cohesive and cooperative team will have its own team dynamics. You need to be aware of the team dynamics, or in other words, you need to be aware what is going on in your project team and elevating that to the whole organization. If you do not know what's going on in the organization, your decisions will not be based on the reality on the ground. In short, the best team members are there on their own initiative, they volunteer for the project, they want to be on the project, and they want to give their best. Now, the perfect person for a project has a very high problem-solving ability. They are available, and they have expertise in the technological aspects of the task they are hired for into the project. They need to have connections outside the project, and they need to utilize these connections, or willing to use these connections for the benefit of the project. And as I said, these people need to be there voluntarily. They need to be wanting to do their best on the project. If they do not have positive ambition, initiative, and energy, they will become a drain instead of a credit to the project. And one of the important traits in every recruitment aspect, what is the credibility of that person? Is that person really walking the talk, or is this person just faking until they make it? As a project manager, one question you need to ask yourself: why would these people support me? And what can I do so that they want to support me and thus the project? Now, in closure, I want to talk briefly about virtual teams. And since I was teaching at IBSS, virtual teams have become even more important during the pandemic. The advantage, obviously, is that you can recruit global experts. You can get the best of the best. And expanding your talent pool to the global market can only be advantages for the project outcomes. Now, one of the downsides is that you do not have colocation. The internet or the team workspace on the internet does not replace physical colocation of people. You can't just look over your screen to the person in the next cubicle and say, well, I have this problem, what would you do about that? Another thing is the problem of coordinating these people. So you are a project manager in country A, you have several experts in 3 different time zones. How are you coordinating a meeting? Are you coordinating more than one meeting? And if you are coordinating these meetings, how do you make everybody accepting the schedule that you are posting? What kind of culture do you want to create, and what kind of identity do you want to create in your virtual team when you have people from all over the world with different cultures, different expectations, different ways of handling things? So one very popular example is Germans are supposed to be always on time, while Southern Europeans, for example, have a little bit more flexibility, and mañana, tomorrow, doesn't necessarily mean tomorrow. It can mean at some point in the future. You need to have clear expectations and communicate clear expectations, and the team members themselves need to understand and commit to these expectations, or the team will very quickly fall apart. For in terms of a psychological contract between these members, disappointing expectations is one of the absolute no-goes in any kind of relationship. Now, Carol Lyles published the Virtual Success Pyramid in 2012, and as a foundation you need to look at what are the routines, what are your resources and rewards. And this is absolutely crucial and fundamental. If especially a virtual team does not have its routines, if those routines are not accepted by everyone, the team will fall apart. There is no need to go even further. Relationship skills as the next layer of the pyramid. In international teams, in virtual teams, extremely crucial. You are not physically co-located. You do not fully communicate the actual situation via a screen, especially when you are not even sharing a screen, when you are only sharing emails or voice messages. Especially in virtual teams, you need to have crystal clear roles and tasks assigned to everybody. And the people need to be responsible and held responsible for fulfilling or not fulfilling their roles. In a virtual environment, it is more difficult to create a purpose. What is the purpose of this team? What is the purpose of this project? Do I subscribe to it? Do I want to be a part of a successful team managing this kind of project? Only when we can tick all those boxes, when we can confidently say, yes, we have achieved that, we can go further and higher in this pyramid. And only when we really genuinely achieve successful creation of this pyramid, we can say that the team itself has been successful. Whether the project is successful as a result is a different issue, but if you do not have a successful team, it is exponentially more difficult to have a positive and successful project outcome. Thank you very much for your attention. I will see you the next time.